All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from the Scalar Learning channel. And today is a very, very, very important day because today we are at the end, at the culmination of this entire journey. Hold on one second. We are at the end of this entire journey of the J.E.D.I SAT masterclass that we've been carrying out throughout this entire period. Hold on. So I'm just making sure it's going. It's working? Okay. Yeah. So we are at the culmination. Now, if you guys have been following along and joining along, we've been on this amazing platform called School, SKOOL. By the way, put in the comments, just let us know if you can indeed hear us. I'm just making sure we are getting out there because yeah, there it goes. I think now it's going. Oh, no. Yeah, now it's going. All right. Sorry, it wasn't loading. But yeah, if you guys could say what's up, also let us know where you're watching from. That'd be amazing. But we are at the end. This is crazy. We were just talking just now. We can't believe this is week 7 to 7. Like, what a trip when we started this 7 weeks ago. They were finally at the finish line, and we got the SAT in 2 days. So it's just been so much fun. So Dan, let me turn it over to you. Obviously, this is your stage today.
Yeah, dude. Good. Jose, if you don't mind, I want to a couple of things I have planned for today, and would love to just chat with you about your opinion on some of them. It's kind of going to be a big picture. How can we help you get in the zone to perform on Saturday, which is kind of our specialty. I'm a certified performance coach. I think about this stuff a lot. I've got some really good stuff for you guys today, and I want to hear Josefa's take on a couple of it. To echo that, it's been 7 weeks. We've had a blast. We've learned a lot. I think, Josefa, one idea that just crossed my mind, next iteration of this, maybe we get a DJ.
Woo!
You know, I feel like live. There should have been some music going. I'm pretty sure our crowd would agree.
I would love that.
Seeing some familiar faces in the chat. Welcome back, Sailorman22. First one you could catch live. Hope it lives up. And let's see. A lot to do today. So let's just dive in. My quick intro, and I know, Josefa, you usually go backstage at this point, but before you do that, so a quick intro to what I'm going to talk about, and I want to ask your opinion. I recently donated an hour of my time to this charity in New York, and they auctioned it off, and the money went to charity. And I'm working with, and it's kind of a strange situation. It's a girl from Birmingham, Alabama, who's worked with another company called Inspirica Pros. I think it's actually Neil Seltzer's company, now that I think about it. And I get 1 hour with her. And I'm wondering, on your side, Josefa, if you had 1 hour with a student, what would you teach them? Just an hour, what would you go into?
Well, if we're talking about on the math side, because I have done that before, actually, where I've just worked with somebody once, and if it's usually like this, where I'm assuming it was SAT prep, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're gearing up, we're the week of the test, we got 1 hour. I would say I want you to go through every problem that you've gotten wrong and that you were befuddled by or confused by, that you just felt like either you didn't know how to crack it or you didn't know the best way to crack it. And we're going to just triage all of those questions top down. That's if I just had 1 hour. That would be my approach.
Cool. So you'd have them bring tough questions and you just hammer those out. Yeah, I think that's a good approach on math. What I'm doing is a little different with this student, or what I did. It's kind of talking about mindset. And I guess it depends on the type of student and what's going on. And I spoke to the mom for a little bit ahead of time. Basically, long story short, I decided mindset for performance is what we're going to spend most of our hour on. And I'm wondering, do you ever coach mindset or talk about performance anxiety? People get nervous, their practice scores, a lot of times people get 780s at home, but then they go and take the test and they get 650s. Do you ever coach mindset?
So what I can say, the time where I think mindset would make sense as I think it would always make sense, and maybe I can do more of that, I guess. Let me start by saying that. So I certainly am not the expert on this subject, but what I can say is, from my experience, is mindset with enough runway. right? If we have the time to put in the requisite work, put in the right amount of practice, usually mindset improves tremendously just once you get into a rhythm and you get enough confidence. That's what I've observed in general. So that's always my approach. Now, if we're talking about a triage approach where maybe you haven't done a lot of studying, you're coming in the last hour, then I think mindset becomes exponentially more important. And and I'm sure you probably have like amazing methods. You said you're certified, right? You said you're certified performance coach.
Yeah.
So I think in that case, especially, and again, I'm just talking about math, but in that case, I think it would have much more weight. But that's kind of what I found.
Cool.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to take us there a little bit today, and would love to hear your opinion on some of the stuff. I'm going to talk about something called present emotional state, and I might ask your opinion every once in a while. Before I get into it, some people are mentioning in the chat that the GRE science path. I must have just posted the wrong link. Sorry, guys. Let me get you the right link. Damn, what's the best way to do it? Josefa, let me, like, for some reason I have to sign in. I can't actually respond in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
I just emailed you the right link.
Got it.
I'll also post it on School. If you can drop it in the chat, that would be
100%.
great.
Or you can always text me stuff too. I'm looking in my email until I get it.
There's almost too many options.
You send it to my. Oh, I got it.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm gonna post it.
And then
right
let me adjust that link on the verbal side of things as well. I did that wrong. Delete, and now it's uploaded. Okay, so those files are there. Sorry about that, folks. All right, so let's dive in. So verbal mastery checklist. The test is Saturday. If you're taking it Saturday, what are the things I think you really need to master? And I want to introduce this concept called present emotional state. And, I would bet the average person in here is a bit nervous, somewhere between a bit nervous and totally freaking out. And if that's you, I think that's okay, right? I want you to think about Saturday as a performance. And I've noticed it really is a performance, comparable to a play or a sporting event. And if things go well, you performed well. If things don't go well, it's not a comment on your intelligence. It's not a comment on your potential or necessarily your preparation. It's feedback that you didn't perform well. And I want you to start thinking today about your present emotional state, even in this moment, right? I love this term because it's present. What is going on in this moment for you? What are your emotions? And what is your state? And state implies that it's changeable. And your present emotional state, I took this from Tony Robbins, who's been a great teacher of mine, has to do with your physiology, your focus, and your language. I could teach you another 7-week course just really on this slide. But what you're aiming for on Saturday, or whenever you take your test, is calm physiology, like strong focus, and using language that empowers you and doesn't mess you up. And I'm going to give you some ideas of what you can do between now and then and beyond. Some of this stuff, not really applicable if you've only got 48 hours, but what's some stuff that puts you in the best, prepared state? So you have to practice under pressure. Again, if you only have 2 days, you might not be able to do this. This company I used to work for called Zinc, they offered proctored tests every Saturday and Sunday in New York City. You can also do them online. If you've been practicing from the comfort of your home, sorry, I'm just realizing I got to share this.
And Dan, I popped in because I had a question. That link that you sent me, did you want me to post it in the chat or actually share the screen? The one you emailed to me.
Yeah, just post it in the chat. You got it.
Just want to make sure. Sorry.
And then I posted it on School too. Okay, cool. So this is the slide I was talking about. Sorry, I thought I was sharing and I wasn't. So your present emotional state, physiology, focus, and language. So you have to practice under pressure. Don't just practice from the comfort of your own home, right? I think I said that already. And watch your language, especially when you're in there on Saturday. Guys, from now on, I'm just going to assume everyone's taking it Saturday. If you're not, you can apply it to whenever you take the test. So right now, check in with yourself. How you doing? How you feeling about Saturday? And I think there's a big difference between I am nervous, which I think is perfectly reasonable, rational, and okay, versus I am screwed, which is awfulizing. It's not going to put you in an empowering position. And getting rejected or not getting a good score equals awful versus getting rejected equals inconvenient. Which of those is going to put you in a more empowering spot? And again, there have been full books written about this. I'm just giving you an overall, might jar something for you. Like, what's the TLDR of what you can start doing to prepare yourself for Saturday? Watch the language that you talk to yourself. Beware of breathing. I recommend taking a deep breath every time you punch an answer. And if you watch my walkthrough of test 6 on the Scalar Learning channel, you'll notice I take a deep breath after every question. I've just trained myself to do that. I recommend you do the same thing. There's a great visualization exercise that I'll tell you about, and you're welcome to look it up. I got it from the GOAT, Michael Phelps, the greatest Olympian of all time. I was listening to a podcast with him, and he does this, or he did this before every race. He would take 1 minute to visualize everything going terribly during his race, which a lot of people are too scared to do. So take a minute to visualize everything going horribly on Saturday. You wake up late, your computer doesn't work, the computer freezes, so on and so forth. And then take another minute to visualize everything going beautifully. If you do that, Michael Phelps says his brain just auto-corrected. His brain knew what to do based on these 2 minutes of visualization. So I love this. I always do this with my students the week of the test. And then in the next 24 hours, take care of the little things. Decide now what time you'll wake up and how. What are you going to eat during the day? Have you packed everything you need? What will you wear if you need the list of things to bring on test day? You can take a screenshot of this. I think they still have admissions tickets. I don't know if they're virtual or not. They're probably in your email. Yes, you need an ID. I've had students show up without an ID and not be able to take the test. You don't need number 2 pencils with erasers anymore. This is, I think, a checklist from pre-digital SAT. Same thing with the calculator. You should bring a watch and definitely drinks and snacks. So just think about these little things. It's a good idea.
And Dan, can I jump in here real quick? Because I've made videos about what to do on test day. And I also, if you don't mind, I do want to chime in on the food selection. Okay. And it might be different for everybody. Not necessarily saying that you need to choose things that you hate or whatever, just based on nutritional value. But I want to give these main tenets. So when you're choosing things to eat, I would say as much as possible, steer away from simple carbohydrates, obviously things like sugar, because a lot of times what that can do is that can give you an energy burst in the short term, but that can make you crash in the long term. And then you might feel tired or sluggish, especially with this long test. I would say fats are actually really good protein. I always say eggs are an amazing staple. If you hate eggs, you could even have some chicken or other things with a high amount of protein. If you're looking for a really easy and easily digestible snack that will give you a nice consistent burn of energy, I think almonds is good. I think a good quality string cheese or cheese of some sort could be good. And maybe some sort of a meat product or jerky. But again, just watch the sugar content in all of those. And obviously stay super hydrated. When it comes to caffeine, last thing I'll say is, if you don't regularly drink caffeine, don't start on test day. However, if you're already acclimated to drinking a moderate amount of caffeine or whatever on a daily basis to study and whatnot, then you can make that responsible decision yourself. But what I would say is definitely not the time to throw that into the mix. And let me know if you disagree or like have anything else you want to add in on that front. But I do think it's important to let people know about, hey, the diet and things like that. I think it matters.
Love it. We're sponsored by eggs, right?
Sponsored by what?
We're sponsored by eggs.
By eggs.
Eggs sponsors our club.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the idea of Josefa rolling in to a digital SAT with like a little griddle and just like cooking some eggs during the break. How do you bring eggs, man?
Boiled eggs.
Boiled eggs. Right. You bring a boiled egg. All right. So let's get more specific. Some of you, I think that might have been helpful. Some of you are probably like, all right, I get it. Like I'm good on the test, but let's get more specific. I'm going to break it down for the grammar and for the reading. What are the tips? What is the technique that you need? And we'll go through this I'll mention some things, and then whatever time we have left, I'm going to do a speed run of an actual test and try and put this all into play at once, so you can see me doing it. IRT, in real time. Is that an acronym? I don't know. IRT. Okay, so tip 1 for grammar. I'm going back to the beginning of the class. Nothing here. I don't think anything here is new other than present emotional state. Everything is just a recap of what's the technique. And tip 1 is you must classify. By doing this class, my understanding of the test has actually evolved. I think for the ACT, for the old SAT, there were 10 types. That's how I thought about the grammar section. Now I think about 4 grammar types and 3 rhetoric types, which I'll mention in a bit, but the numbers are still the same. So sentence structure and punctuation, verbs, pronouns, modifiers. These are the 4 types. So take a moment, check in with yourself, see if you can look at these and tell me what type we're dealing with. 1, 2, 3, or 4. You could drop it in the chat if you know. And I'm not going to take you through answering these questions right now. We kind of did that in the past, but I hope you were able to see that and see these questions and be like, oh yeah, type 1, sentence structure and punctuation. These, what type are we dealing with? Drop it in the chat if you see it. If you have the types memorized, you've been classifying, this is for sure verbs. And I'll throw you, I was doing a tutoring session earlier today, and this was a big point. There's 2 types of verb questions. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch week 2 from this class. There's subject verb agreement, but there's also tense, and these are different. And I'll remind you the tenses that are required. There's 3 simple tenses, past, present, future. There's 3 complex tenses, past perfect, present perfect, and conditional. Again, week 2, we cover all of this. I'm going to fast forward through some of this stuff. Okay, cool. What question type is this? If you haven't picked up on it by now, I'm going in order. So what's question type 3? Oh yeah, pronouns. And I noticed in the process of doing this class, the SAT hasn't actually stressed these much yet. They do pop up from time to time, but not a lot. And then question type 4, modifiers. I'll remind you, these are the ones that I think people misunderstand the most. Remind yourself, modifiers simply describe, and noun modifiers must touch their nouns. These questions, if you've been paying attention in this class, if you've been paying attention to my tips, they should feel simple, very simple. Introductory clause, it's a modifier. Upon recovering 2 years later, has to be Henry because he's the one who recovered. A, bam. Right? To the point. Same idea over here. Cool. So beyond the classification, you have to know your comma rules. Inside and out should be memorized. If for some reason they're not, I'll pause on this slide for a second. You can take a screenshot. Here are all the comma rules in the English language. I think week 2, might have even been week 1. 1 or 2, I cover these with examples. There's also some resources in the school community so you can practice these. Cool. All right. And then you have to predict on which question types, on word choice, transitions, and accomplish a goal. On these questions, you should be predicting. So here, I would read this. I'll give you a minute to do that. I'm not even looking at the choices. And when you've got a prediction, then you can look at the choices. If you want to drop your prediction in the chat, go ahead. And I'm noticing when I read this, the centrality of nature. So something positive about nature, distaste for nature. It's kind of 2 feelings about nature. So my prediction might be feeling 2 ways. It doesn't have to be one word. It doesn't even have to be a real word, but it has to be accurate. So feeling 2 ways. Then I'd go to the choices. Responsiveness, no. Ambivalence. Oh yeah, ambi means 2. So B looks good, not C. Not D. Oh yeah, it's B. So make sure to predict. I recommend writing your prediction. Reminder, at your test center. If you request it, you get scrap paper. So don't forget to request it. And then tip 4, use IRA. I'll remind you, IRA is identify, reason, answer. I thought I had, oh yeah, these are the 4. I thought I had yeah, exactly. So what's IRA? Here's an example of a really tough problem. And I'm just going to do it the way I would do it on the test. So first I'd look, and I notice, oh yeah, this is a pronouns question because it's is in there. And since it has to be the sloth because it's singular. So now I'm starting to reason. I started with identifying pronouns question. Reason, the sloth hangs from trees by its long, rubbery limbs, sleeping 15 hours a day and moving so infrequently. That looks good. The sloth hangs from trees, sleeps 15 hours a day. And it violates parallelism. So it's D. And why is that IRA? Well, I identified the question as a pronouns question. I used some reasoning, and then I got to the answer. A lot of times people start with the A, and it's no bueno. So this is the grammar side of things. These are the 4 big techniques that we went over in this class that I think you should keep top of mind for Saturday. I'll pause to see if there are any questions, comments, concerns about the grammar side of things before we move on to the reading side of things, and then I do my speed run. Let's see. Yeah, Silence asked a good question. I need help with something. Why is it that when I study, I do so well, but on the actual test, I get nervous? Again, I could teach a full class on this. I did a 14-week training on performance for tests taught by a clinical psychologist. And I don't know, how do I boil it down into 30 seconds? I would look at how you perform in sports or in any performance, whether it's musical, dance, etc., and see if there are any connections for you. Silence. Getting nervous is not the problem. Getting nervous is not the problem. Your reaction to getting nervous, which is probably freezing or not thinking or not breathing, is the problem. Getting nervous is fine. I get nervous before I teach, yet I teach really well. I get nervous. I'll probably get a little nervous when I'm taking the test in a little bit, but I've trained myself to breathe, to ground myself, to use my senses so that I bring myself back into the present moment. So I don't think it's actually a problem you're getting nervous is kind of the short answer. Okay. Are the word choice slides in school? I don't know, Sailorman. I'll go back and check that. I think I've responded to everything in the verbal section of school that were like material requests. If not, bump it up, like make a new post, and I'm happy to share everything I've shared in this class. If I miss something, that's my bad. So I'm happy to do that. Just put a post in the verbal section of the school community. Okay, cool. Henry, let's take a look at between A and C. Yeah, good, nice one. Yeah, I'm happy you brought that up. I think it was Cole. Everyone, not everyone, a lot of people make this mistake. A and C both say Henry. But look closer, Cole. This doesn't actually say Henry. It says Henry's reign. In this case, Henry's is just a modifier for reign. It doesn't actually say Henry. So the apostrophe S makes it wrong. And hint, hint, same problem over here. Commercial plastics is mentioned here. That's the right answer. But commercial plastics with an apostrophe actually is not right. So it's kind of a trick that they've thrown out a couple times. You need just the noun you want to modify. I hope that helps. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's go to reading. So tip 1, you have to use the reading toolkit. We spent most of this class practicing, going deeper, looking at different applications of the reading toolkit. And if you haven't gotten the memo, I don't know what else to do, but you have to slow down on the reading. At least at first, I read quickly and deeply now, but I had to slow down for a bit when I was teaching myself to do this. You have to have an experience, do the world making, do the personalizing, do the other tools. I'd mentioned in kind of the I don't know, like the schedule for today, that I was going to share with you the hardest thing I've ever read. I think this is it. This is from a book called Middlemarch by George Eliot. I was just in London last week. I got to see George Eliot's grave. It was cool. Why is this so hard? I don't know. I'll give you 30 seconds to take a look. And I don't know. In the past, I've shown this to people and they've just started laughing because it's so outrageously hard. So take a step. And I think writing like this is totally fair game for the digital SAT. They're looking for hard text. You can tell they're throwing in poetry, they're throwing in old English stuff. And this is absolutely fair game. And I think it's really good practice if you want to take a screenshot, or you can just Google Middlemarch chapter 1. It's really good practice to try and probably fail a little bit at first. The reading toolkit on here to world make, to connect, to do linking, to do parsing, right? Like it's really important. If you read these full sentences, like the second sentence is so long, but if you break it down, who does her refer to? Oh, I guess it's Miss Brooke. Her hand and wrist were so finely formed. So now I'm visualizing a very nice hand and wrist. That she could wear sleeves. Okay, so now I'm envisioning her wearing sleeves, and I'm going piece by piece, and I'm trying to enjoy the experience. So practicing the reading toolkit is one thing on easy stuff that you like. It's a totally different beast to try it on hard things that you don't like, which is why I think that GRE science packet that I just posted correctly now, I think it's a really good place to start practicing this on really tough things. Okay, reading tip 2, use the questions toolkit. Again, something we hit a bunch of times in this class. But yes, you have to predict and write your predictions. Use yes, no, maybe. If you get stuck, learn, leave explicitly, return momentarily. That's kind of the crown jewel of the questions toolkit. And here, by popular demand, is a screenshot of my doctoral thesis, To Learn or Not to Learn. That was literally the title. I expected some pushback from Columbia. I didn't get it. They just okayed the title. There was no laughter. There was no acknowledgement. Not a lot of people have a sense of humor in academia, but to learn or not to learn. And the idea is if you get stuck, leave the problem excitedly, leave it explicitly, and return momentarily. That's the idea. Tip 3, this is something I'm just now formulating. What's the flow? Like on grammar questions, it's IRA. On reading questions, I do the question, then the intro, then the text. What do I mean by that? Here's an example of a question. I think it's from test 3. The question is where I start. The first thing I read, which choice best describes the data from the table that supports their suggestion? I'm putting in the back of my mind. I guess I need to look for their suggestion. But I don't look for it yet. So I've done the Q part. I've looked at the question. Then I look at the intro, which is basically the title and the graph. So reading the title, I bet no one reads the title, guys. There's no way to really know. I just have a feeling no one reads the titles. So estimates of Tyrannosaurid bite force. And I'm world making. I'm envisioning this like dinosaur taking a bite of a pencil. I don't know what pencil. And then I'll do my one sentence story, which we talked about last week, and then I'll read the text and make my prediction. So that's the workflow. And finally, what I mentioned at the top of the hour, tip 4, manage your present emotional state. I'll say one more thing about present emotional state, then I'll pause for questions on reading. I think what is the ideal present emotional state? I don't know that there is one for all things, right? Like sometimes you want to be serious, sometimes you want to be playful, sometimes you want to be strong. I don't know. There's a bunch of ideal ones depending on what you want to do. But I think sports provide a great analogy for the best present emotional state for test taking. And I want to share with you an image that was really meaningful to me. It comes from, I know we've got some people from Europe on the call. This comes from the Euros in 2021, which was won by Italy over England. This is from the semifinal match. And this is one of the most famous Italian soccer players of all time. Does anyone know who that is? His last name is Chiellini. And here's what happened that made a huge impression on me. I was watching this match. It was Italy versus Spain in the semis. And it went to penalty kicks. I think it was 0-0 or 1-1. And I noticed such a difference. This is right before the penalty kicks. They flip a coin to see who chooses whether to go first or second in the penalty kicks, who chooses sides. And right before the coin toss, this is the image I saw. My question for you is, who looks more relaxed? The Italian guy, Chiellini, or the Spanish guy? I encourage you to watch the video. It's even more apparent in the video. It is for sure the Italian guy. And guess who won? The captain of his team. He sets this tone, playful, fun, enjoying himself out there. The whole team follows suit. The Italians win. It happened again against England in the finals. And my point is, this is not just having fun and it's not just fun for fun's sake. The present emotional state that is going to allow you to perform at your best is loose, calm, playful. Loose, calm, playful. So a couple of people were mentioning in the chat, like, why, I get so nervous. It's okay to get nervous for a moment, but do you have a tool to relax, to bring yourself back to loose, calm, and playful? Because if you don't, you're going to stop breathing. Your body's going to tense up. You're going to stop seeing things correctly, and you're going to get questions wrong. I have one more great example of this. It's a short video. This, of course, is the great LeBron James. I'll show you the video of something that happened in an actual NBA game.
You've got goggles or something that could create some blood there. As you see the ball being thrown in and hits him right in the face, breaks the goggles.
Yeah, it was LeBron picked up the lens.
So
lenses.
LeBron
Or
put
the
some more.
shield.
Okay, and I love that example because LeBron, possibly the greatest, at least American athlete of all time, is just playful. He's always playful. This is a big game. It doesn't matter. The glass is falling. He puts them on and just makes a joke. And that's kind of what you're going for. That's kind of what you're going for. You want to be playful. You want to stay loose. Whatever you can do to stay that way. It's what professional athletes do. It's what professional test takers do. I don't know if I'm a professional test taker, but that's what we're aiming for. Yeah,
I gotta jump in because so right before we did this, one of my martial arts coaches, my boxing coach, was over here. We were having a conversation. Is he starting a podcast? Anyways, we were talking about a lot of the parallels between fighting or learning how to fight, or that athletic endeavor, and test taking, learning math in particular. But again, it's that same idea that Dan's talking about. In striking or in sparring or in fighting, one of the things that gives somebody knockout power is the ability to stay loose and to keep it kind of light on your feet as opposed to tensing up. And that's what's going to allow you to throw with greater velocity and force. So anyways, I was just saying this idea kind of translates across the board, not just in sports, but also in combat sports, academics, etc. But yeah, I love
it. Yeah, and it's a performance, right? It's like a match. And I don't know if you guys know this, Josefa's really a well-trained fighter. He has this MMA channel that I'm sure he's mentioned, and it applies to that arena. It applies to penalty kicks. You ever watch? I'm making myself out to be a huge soccer fan. I'm actually much more into basketball and other sports. But you ever see someone take a penalty kick or a free throw? You just know they're going to miss it. The person's tense. Whereas if they're relaxed, so the best free throw shooters, they have a routine, they breathe, and they just take care of business. That's what you're looking for. Okay, I'm seeing some chatter that I want to respond to. All right. Chiellini, yeah, you knew him, Josefa. I was thinking to learn the whole SAT. So you walk out and then come back the next day. That's pretty funny. Cole mentions a really important and cool point from neuroscience. Neurologically speaking, if you put a person in an MRI or an fMRI scanner and look at their brain, you cannot decipher, you cannot tell the difference between nervous and excited. Cole, you're totally right. It's just a matter of how you view it. So the physiological signal is the same. What you tell yourself tells you I'm nervous versus excited. I think teaching is a really good example for me. I feel something before I teach, but I no longer describe it as nerves most of the time. I know I kind of said that. It's more excitement. It's like I view it as excitement. And I think that's a good thing to hold on to coming into Saturday. Okay, cool. Sailorman 22, parsing. Let's see. Parsing is taking a big thing and breaking it down into smaller pieces. Parsing is taking a big thing, breaking it down to smaller pieces. On the verbal side of things, let's say you read a full sentence and you're like, what the hell did I just read? You know that feeling. What the hell did I just read? The move is, yes, you need to reread it and reread it in smaller chunks. So just start with the first couple words and then go to the next couple words. So that's what parsing is. It's like a cognitive science tool. It applies to math. It applies to verbal. It applies to like a whole bunch of things. For our purposes, I find myself using it the most when I read something I don't understand and going back to reread in smaller chunks. Dredo G. Mose, great question. Any tips on comprehending the passage the first time reading? Sometimes I get lost in thought and start reading with my eyes. Yeah, you got to practice a lot. Reading hard things, you have to practice that a lot. The truth is, I sometimes get lost, but I catch myself after a sentence. I don't read the full, it never happens to me that I read the full paragraph. I'm like, what the hell did that whole paragraph say? Because I failed to catch myself. What would happen is I read the first sentence, I don't get it. I breathe and I read it again and I parse that time. So Dred, you're not a barcode scanner. I'm not a barcode scanner. I'm very good at this test, but I'm not a barcode scanner. So sometimes I do have to reread. Why do I have to reread less than the average person? I've practiced a ton reading really tough texts. And the earlier videos, whatever week I first talked about reading, I think it was week 3 or 4, I talk about the pyramid of reading, starting with sentences, going up to poems, then short stories, articles, and books. I recommend trying to climb your way up that pyramid. Someone that mentions, like that has a question like Dred, I bet most people that have that type of question are not reading full books yet. And that's okay, but can you get yourself up the pyramid where you feel like you can read a tough short story or a tough article? I published in the school community. If you're not part of that, join the school community. It's free. I published a reading list on the school community where you can start practicing on that. If your test is on Saturday, Dred, I think it's going to take a little longer than 2 more days, but it's not much longer than a couple weeks of reading tough stuff continually. And eventually your brain just gets sick of tuning out because you're going to force yourself to reread it and it tunes in. So catch yourself sooner is kind of the big thing. Okay, what's predicting? Guys, a lot of questions here. I'm going to just mention that go back and watch the previous week's videos. I don't think it's fair to the people who've been showing up for me to go back through that. But in short, it's writing down your prediction before you look at the answer choices. I covered extensively, I think, in week 5. Advice for graph data-based questions. Yeah, go back and watch last week's video. I have a ton on graph and data-based questions that was up last week. The big difference there is coming up with the 1-sentence story for the graph before you move on. So I'm looking at the graph. I take a moment to come up with a 1-sentence story of the graph, of what the graph is saying, what it's getting across. That's kind of my big difference there, but I mainly treat those questions like reading questions. Cool. The pyramid. Yeah, climb up the pyramid. Check the reading list and start with whatever you feel comfortable with. Poems, Start short. Like I think most people make the mistake, most tutors, most teachers make this mistake of like, here, go read this 400-page book. It's going to take you 12 hours. People generally don't do that. So start with a poem. A poem will take you 5-10 minutes. And poetry is literally tested on the SAT. I think it's a good place to start. Check my reading list for some poetry. Okay. Yeah, Cole, for the speed run, I played with it a little before. I'm just gonna do it from a I think I'm just gonna do it from the like PDF version for now, unless I can't think of a better way. I'll do a module 2 from one of the PDF versions because I couldn't figure out, like, I don't have the answers memorized, and it would be kind of a waste of your guys' time to get to module 2. So that's what I'm going to do for now. The next iteration of this class, maybe I could do something better. Where do you join the class? Is it free? Yeah, it's free. Huzaifa has already dropped the school link in there. All of our resources are in there, including the reading list, and it's a dope community. We're very proud of it. Okay. All right. Should we do the speed run? I've got at least till the top. I can stay a little late today. What do you think, Huzaifa? Should we just go for it?
Let's do it.
Okay. I'll remind you all, on the Scalar Learning channel, there's a full recording of me doing module 1 and module 2 of Blue Book Test 6. I think it's pretty good. I hope you like it, Huzaifa. Maybe you can drop the link in the chat so people can check out the full test, because I don't think I'm gonna get through a full module here. The funny thing about a speed run on verbal is it's kind of impossible. Like on math, I can go as fast as I can, and it really feels like a true speed run. This will probably be at 20% faster than I would normally do it, is my guess. I don't know. I've never done this like speed run. I've never done one before on verbal, but I'm definitely going to have to slow myself down on the reading. Otherwise, you miss questions, right? Like you miss a single word, you miss a question. Are you going to say something about that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I posted the link as you asked. I would definitely check out those videos, especially because they are timestamped. So, for example, if you just took practice test 6 and you want to see question 21 for whatever reason, you can jump right to it and hear Dan's logic and all that.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. And I'd love to, Huzaifa, maybe this fall we can record some more of those. It was really fun and like a good experience to practice what I preach, because I used to go in and take the SAT. I think, Huzaifa, you said you did the same, and they don't let us go in and take it anymore.
Nope, so they do not, unfortunately. Oh, and we got somebody new in the chat, by the way, that I don't recognize. Aki Youth Carnum. We got a comment here. Getting about 700s for math and English. Could I get to 1520? I guess we can quickly. I know Dan's about to do the speed run. But absolutely, you could get a 1520. It sounds like you're right in that zone. Usually when people are at this point, I'd say it's just about reducing a lot of those silly mistakes or mistakes in general, because you must be able to look. All you have to do is, let's say you're getting a 700, you got to ramp it up to a 760 in each subject, and you're cracking that 1520. You're right in the zone. You just got to keep hitting it. And if for whatever reason you can't hit it on this August, remember you still got October that you can hit the test by and still get your early absence. So. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Right.
And I think the difference between a 700 and like a 760, which would be like kind of what you need for a 1520, on the digital SAT, it's only a couple questions. It's like 3 questions potentially. So it seems like you're within striking distance.
I would say so.
All right, shall we? Let's do this. Someone in the DMs requested test 3. So I'm going to do test 3. I've got module 2 queued up. And I've got, let's see if this works. I haven't done this yet. Yeah, it works. Okay, cool. It's called Doc Hub, where I'm just going to write on the test. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to take a lap and just get my present emotional state to the one I described, which is calm. I'm pretty calm right now. Focused, playful, and remind myself, I like to remind myself why I'm doing this. For you all, when I was in high school, I had this vision. I was really into Stanford. I visited Stanford. I had this vision of the main drag at Stanford with palm trees. And I would visualize that before everything I was doing for college, before the SAT, before, joining these clubs, whatever. So I just take a moment to visualize. Right now, I'm doing this to help. So I'm visualizing people from all over the world tuning in, and that helps me get in the zone. And now, let's go, baby. Okay.
And Dan, would you mind
Yeah.
zooming in a little bit more?
Sure.
All right, perfect.
Okay, I'm gonna go one question at a time, obviously. Okay, according to botanists, a viburnum plant, that's a funny word. Viburnum plant experiencing insect damage may develop erinaeum and discolored felty growth. I'm visualizing this green plant with like a khaki colored fungus on its leaf blades. A blank viburnum plant, on the other hand, transition word linking, will have leaves with smooth surfaces and uniformly green coloration. Okay, my prediction is healthy because it's talking about a healthy one, not a diseased one. Okay, struggling, no. Beneficial, no. Simple, no. Healthy, oh, look at that. I predicted it. Why? Oh, this is just kind of slow. That's what's going on. All right, so there it is. Healthy. This is going a little slower than I would like, so we'll deal with the tech. But the point is, I'm actually writing and interacting. Okay, let's go to number 2. Nigerian-American author Teju Cole's blank his two passions. Blank his two passions. Photography and the written word culminates in his 2017 book Blind Spot, which evocatively combines his original photographs from his travels with his poetic post. So I'm envisioning this writer his like my prediction is like his love of. And notice, I think a lot of people would predict a verb here, but that apostrophe makes me think that it's not a verb. Okay, this program kind of sucks for writing, so I might just talk. Love of is working when I tested it this morning. I think there's just a lag now. Okay, so love of, indifference to, no. Enthusiasm for, that looks good. Concern about, no. Surprise at, no. It's got to be B. Okay, cool. Novelist N.K. Jemisin declines to blank the conventions of the science fiction genre in which she writes, and she has suggested that her readers appreciate her work precisely. I'm realizing I forgot to take a breath. I'm getting a little tense, so let's try it again. Declines to blank the conventions of the science fiction genre in which she writes, and she suggested that her readers appreciate her work precisely because of this willingness to thwart expectations. That is my hint, and to avoid formulaic plots and themes. So declines to fall into, like adhere to. Okay, question, no. React to, no. Perceive, no. Conform to, yes. Great prediction. This is all about the prediction, guys. These are so easy if you make good predictions. And now this will probably, I think this is the last one. So this one will probably be the hardest. Oh, this is the one we did. It's the one we just did. So, yeah, my prediction before was like feeling two ways, and that got me to ambivalence. Nice. It's really helpful, guys, if you get a question you've seen before. Hopefully that doesn't happen often. Okay. Speed run. Okay, cool. So let me demonstrate that flow, and I'm just going to take a breath. I know this isn't as zoomed in as we would like. It turns out I can't zoom in anymore without it going crazy. So I'll first read the question. What's the main purpose of the text? I love these. These, I think, are the easiest reading questions. The following text is from the 1924 poem Cycle by Darcy McNichol, who is a citizen of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes. I'm envisioning this person in 1924, Darcy, a citizen of these tribes. So I'm envisioning like these tribes sitting around a fire, and one of the people is Darcy. There shall be new roads wending, a new beating of the drum. I legit don't know what the word wending is. I don't know, like being laid down. A new beating of the drum. Men's eyes shall have fresh seeing. Gray lives reprise their span. Okay, so it's like a cheery, I'm envisioning a man with like new eyes. But under the new sun's being, the word but strikes me as important there, completing what night began. There'll be the same backs bending. Oh, it's got negative, folks. So it was positive and it got negative. The same sad feet shall drum when this night finds its ending and day shall have come. So main purpose is to talk about the positives and negatives of being a person, like being a human in this time. So positives and negatives of being a human in this time. I would write this down. My computer program is going wacky, so I'm not going to write it on the screen. But positives and negatives of being a human. Okay, to consider how the repetitiveness inherent in human life can be both rewarding and challenging. I like that. Rewarding and challenging is contrast. I'm going to say maybe plus. To question whether activities one time a day are more memorable. Nope, EWM takes B off. To refute the idea that joy is more commonly experienced emotion. Nope, doesn't talk about more commonly. EWM, baby. To demonstrate the experiences of individuals relate to their communities. It doesn't talk about communities at all. No way. So it's got to be A. Nice. Breath. This speed run is fun. I'm kind of letting myself loose. Okay, let's go. Main purpose, yeah, baby. The following text is adapted from Jane Austen's 1814 novel Mansfield Park. The speaker, Tom, is considering staging a play at home with a group of friends and family. I'm envisioning my friend Thomas talking to his family in the den of my childhood home. We mean nothing but a little amusement amongst ourselves, just to vary the scene and exercise our powers in something new. He's saying, like, we're just kind of doing a fun thing. We want no audience, no publicity. We may be trusted, I think, in choosing some play most perfectly unacceptable. She's like, guys, this is going to be chill and fun. He's talking, I guess, I'll visualize his parents. And I can conceive no greater harm or danger than any of us conversing in the elegant written language of some respectable author and chattering words of our own. So he's saying it's not going to be fancy. It's going to be plain and chill. The purpose is he's convincing people the play will be plain and chill. A, to offer Tom's assurance that the play will be inoffensive and involve only a small number of people. I like that a lot, maybe plus. To clarify that the play will not be performed in the manner he had originally intended, EWM, no way. To elaborate on the people around Tom lack the skills, no way. To assert that Tom believes the group performing the play will be able to successfully, it doesn't talk about promoting. This is a great example of EWM. The other three are just dead wrong for specific word reasons. Which choice best describes the overall structure? These are generally pretty easy too. Okay, musician Joni Mitchell. Oh, I know who that is. So I'm envisioning a picture of her who's also a painter. Oh, I didn't know that. Fun. Uses images she creates from her album covers to emphasize the ideas expressed in her music. So I'm envisioning a CD with a cover that has a piece of art on it. For the cover, Turbulent Indigo, Mitchell painted a striking self-portrait that closely resembles Van Gogh's self-portrait of Bandagier. I'm envisioning Joni Mitchell in the style of Van Gogh. The image calls attention to the album's title song, in which Mitchell sings about the legacy of the post-impressionist painter. In that song, Mitchell also hints she feels a strong artistic connection to Van Gogh, an idea that's reinforced her imagery on cover. Okay, so overall structure is like claim and oh my God, I hate this program. No more writing predictions. I'm just so used to doing it. Where was it? Okay, I got to module 1. Claim and then an example is my prediction. Claim and then an example is my prediction. Where did the questions go? Sorry, guys. Won't be using this program again. Okay, claim and then an example. Claim about Mitchell then gives an example. That's exactly what I predicted. B, no. Yeah, B, no. C, describes a similarity. No, not. Describes songs. No. So it's A. Oh, it's so nice when your prediction is exactly what's on there. Okay. Here we go. Now I got a lot of questions about the two texts. I don't think these are necessarily harder than the others. Well, let's see. Let's see how I handle this. How would the authors of text 2 characterize the conclusion presented in text 1? I'm thinking we got to find the conclusion in text 1. Deep breath. Astronomer Mark Holland and his colleagues examined 4 white dwarfs, small, dense remnants of past stars in order to determine the composition of exoplanets used to orbit those stars. I'm envisioning 4 white dots in the universe with planets surrounding them. Studying wavelengths of light in the white dwarf atmospheres, the team reported that traces of elements such as lithium and sodium support the presence of exoplanets with continental crust similar to Earth. So what's the claim Holland is saying? the 4 white dwarfs have little Earths around them, maybe. Okay, so how would these people respond? Past studies of white dwarf atmospheres have concluded that certain exoplanets had continental crust. Geologist Keith Paterka and astronomers CU argue that these studies unduly emphasize the atmospheric traces. Okay, so this word I happen to know means like not rightly, incorrectly. Studies don't adequately account for different minerals. The possibility of rock types not found on Earth. So how would they respond? They'd say they're skeptical, is my prediction. I'm not going to write my prediction because we saw what happened last time. Okay, skeptical. As unexpected, no. As premature, no. As questionable, that looks good because it rests on an incomplete consideration of potential sources of element. That looks really good. I think that's it. As puzzling, no, it's not puzzling. See, notice how quickly I've trained myself to take answers off if there's one word that's wrong. I think that's what separates me from the average test taker. I see one word and I'm like, gone. I don't have to read the rest of it. Okay, I'll do 2 more and then I'll pause for questions about all of this. So, according to the text, why are ecologists worried about Pando? I have no idea what Pando is. Let's find out. Utah is home to Pando, a colony of about 47,000 quaking aspen trees that all share a single root system. I've seen aspen trees in Aspen. I'm envisioning those aspen trees connected under the ground. Pando is one of the largest single organisms by mass on Earth. Oh, how interesting. But ecologists are worried that its growth is declining. They're worried that its growth is declining in part because of grazing by animals. So, yeah, that's my prediction. It's decline. The growth is declining. It isn't growing at the same rate it used to. That looks really good. Isn't producing young trees anymore. It doesn't say that. Can't grow into new areas because it's blocked by fences. No. Root system can't support many new trees. I don't think it says anything about that. The growth rate is not the same. Yeah. According to the text, why was Wang and his team's discovery about TX fossil? Why was it significant? Okay. Man, where did we go? I lost it. Okay, we're back. Why was it significant? For many years, the only existing fossil evidence of ME, Mixopterid eurypterids, an extinct family of large aquatic arthropods known as sea scorpions and related to modern arachnids and horseshoe crabs. I'm envisioning giant scorpions in the sea. Holy crap, that is fun to visualize. They came from 4 species living on the paleocontinent of Laurussia. So the only evidence came from this continent. Okay, and a discovery that expands on our understanding of the geographical distribution of Mixopterids. Paleontologist Bo Wang and others have identified fossilized remains of new Mixopterid species that lived over 400 million years ago on the paleocontinent of Gondwana. I've never heard of these paleocontinents, but I'm thinking it was significant because it's a new evidence on a new paleocontinent. I don't even know what a paleocontinent is. It sounds like an old continent. Okay, new evidence on new continent would be my prediction. Nope, not the first evidence. B, the fossil helps establish Mixopterids are more closely related. No. Fossil helps establish a more accurate timeline of the evolution. No. I hope it's D. The fossil constitutes the first evidence found by scientists that Mixopterids existed outside the paleocontinent of Laurussia. I think that is right. Yeah, I feel good about it. Done. Okay. Speedruns are exhausting, especially when, like, for verbal, maybe I should do it without saying every word out loud. I always, in my, like, showing people how I do sections, I always read out loud to kind of point out there's not really any shortcuts. I'm not jumping around, but it is exhausting to talk out loud. My brain is kind of spinning. All right, let's see if there are any questions, comments, concerns. Otherwise, Josefa, do you have your lightsaber? I'm going to get my lightsaber out to close things out, but let me answer the questions first.
I'm going to go see my car right now. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'll take these questions. So Sailor 22, how do I make the predictions? You do the work. You read the question. If you're not able to make predictions, you're not reading. You're not doing what you need to do. Like, you're trying to game the test would be my prediction. How would you make your prediction on the test? You look at the question and they say, what's the main idea? You read the text using the reading toolkit, and then you think about what would I do if this wasn't a multiple choice test? And you'll be able to come up with something if you give it an effort. If you haven't been doing that, Sailor Man, you're probably rushing. You're probably not actually reading, and you cannot do well on the test if you don't read. Okay, cool. What else? What else? Do I have a video that goes into my prediction strategy? It's a good thought. I mean, asking me what my prediction strategy is basically asking me, how do I read? Predicting isn't this like gimmick, guys. It's making sure you're actually reading. So my answer to that question, Dredd, is it's the whole course. The whole course is about, actually, at least after week 3, the whole course is about how to read well. There's no easy fix for it. If you're getting stuck and bored and you're not reading and you're not having an experience, you have a lot of work to do. You have a lot of work to do. It's not an impossible amount of work, but I'm saying weeks to months of becoming a better reader. The good news is I've boiled down exactly how to become a better reader. I've given a lot of thought to this. I've created the reading toolkit, and those moves can accelerate things a lot. Cool. Cole, thank you. I'm still trying to figure out where I am. So that's the most talking I've ever done in my entire life. Okay. I've heard that changes are coming for the math section. I'll let Huzaifa take that. Oh, okay. Nope. Let me finish reading here. Will it be like that for the English too? I don't know of any changes coming. Anyone here? It seems like my students are often more clued in on current events and on the Reddit boards. I would check Reddit. Do you know of any tests, changes to the verbal set?
No, I don't know of any changes to the verbal. I think when you're talking about the changes to the math, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Akyuth, if this is what you're referring to, but they've gone back and retroactively changed and added new questions into practice tests 1 through 3. They also recently released 5 and 6 plus PSAT 2. And I think the gist of it, I think the reason why they're making these adjustments has to do with Desmos. I think they're trying to make more questions that are not as easily solvable with the calculator that's embedded within the app. So at least as far as I know, I don't think they have to do anything like that on the verbal section. So that's my guess, is I'm anticipating the changes on the math because of Desmos. So therefore I'm guessing English isn't really going to change. Akyuth, let me know if I answered your question. And by the way,
Yeah. The way I get most of my information is the Reddit digital SAT community. So join that, again, also free, and that's where I would check for any current events. Silverman's asking about word choice questions. Yes, I covered that in week 4, I think it was. If you don't know the words, you can predict. You can use something called word charge, positive, negative, neutral. I talk about that in the video. And sometimes you just have to guess. There's no easy fix. If your vocabulary is trash, you can't get an elite score on this test. There are, and I published a discount code for members of our community. There's some flashcards you can buy to help cram vocab into your brain. The vast majority of you, I don't think that's necessary. Okay, Cole, predicting. Yep, good notes, good notes. Okay, cool. All right, so I think I've answered everything. Huzaifa, any last words, or should we do a ceremonial kind of sword fight and bow for our community?
My last words are this, and this is going to pertain especially to people like Cole, who've been really, really on top of what they need to do throughout this prep process. So my words are this, okay? If you've been following along with the class and been doing what you need to do, at this point, the work is done. So tomorrow, when you go in and figure out what to do for your day tomorrow, you can do a little bit of studying if the anxiety is really getting to you. I know some students like to do some practice questions. Some students like to even do a couple full practice sections, or maybe even a full length practice test. It's not generally what I advise. But if it's really bothering you and you feel like you need to put in the work, fine. But remember this, if you've done the work correctly, tomorrow is more a day to get yourself in the zone, to relax, to maybe do something you enjoy. Make sure to eat healthy and make sure to try your best to go to bed early. Again, the nerves might be there that might prevent you from falling asleep exactly when you want to fall asleep. But one of the things you can do to counteract that is get some play, get some activity, go do something physical. And if you do watch a movie or watch a show, try not to go like say, hey, I'm going to go watch the new action movie that just came out. That's going to be my relaxing activity. And then you go all hyped up. Instead, just watch something relaxing or see something that you've seen before that you just like to watch and chill out. For those of you who haven't been able to follow along and feel like this is a triage test and you're coming in there and you're like, oh my God, but I have so much to do because I got to catch up because I didn't do anything. I would say do your best. Maybe you can spend more time tomorrow studying if this is the week that you decide to finally start getting everything in gear. But I got good news for you. If that is the case and you go in there and you feel like, man, I could have done so much better with the right amount of preparation, you still have October. You still have November if you're not planning to apply early maybe to some schools, and you can still submit that. And you still have December. So you got a long runway, and use this as a wake-up call to say, hey, maybe now I'm going to put in some more work and really see if I can boost my score. So that's my parting advice.
Love it. Really good. I agree with everything you said there. I'll make one last plug. If you've gotten any value out of this, all we ask of you is to spread the word. At some point soon, we're going to start charging money to join the community. I think it'll I don't know, maybe at the end of the month. Jose and I need to talk about it. It could happen on September 1st. So if you got any value out of this, all of you guys are in. You made it ahead of the curve. You're in for free. Anyone who joins at least before September 1st is also going to get it for free. So if you have a friend or a couple of friends, text them now before we start charging to get them into the community. We want to blow this thing up. We want this to be the premier place that people prep for, and we think we can make some cool things happen and help a ton of people from all over the world. So send some texts, just drop them the link to the school community. All they have to do is hit join group. It's one button, then they're in for free for life. So get the word out there.
0 to 350 over the summer. We're at 350.
Yeah, we're at 350 people. It's nuts, man.
Pretty cool.
Okay, so Josefa, there's still some confusion about how to join the community.
I got you.
We'll drop the link in there one more time. Click the link now, share it with your friends, get them in for free. They will thank you before we start putting a price tag on this. So thank you for being part of the first cohort. We have had a blast, and we look forward to seeing you along the way, Jedis.
The red and the green unite. That's it. That's it. I hope you guys got that link, by the way. I posted it as a comment, so you can check that out and sign up. But man, I gotta say, Dan, this is the first time we kind of did anything like this together. What a blast! How much fun was this?
So fun. And such a highlight. I was gonna say I'm excited to talk about what's next. Jose and I are hanging IRL. I think next week we got figured out, and then we're gonna figure out where we take this community. Maybe we run it back. If you have particular the idea for the speed run came from you guys. So if you have particular ideas, let it be known in the school community. Just drop a chat. Like, I'd love to see this, or we'd love to do that. We're listening to you all. We're trying to figure out how to help.
Oh, one other thing I have to let you guys know. All right, I've been working all week on a video until like midnight last night. I just made one of the biggest, most thorough videos I've ever made for SAT math. So I'm going to post it right here. It's called the SAT Math Critical Concept Bible. I have a formula Bible. This is a critical concept Bible. So it's 2 hours and 24 minutes long, and it's all time-stamped and broken up. Like I said, it took me forever. But the idea is you can watch this 2 hour and 24-minute video carefully and take notes, and you will learn every single math concept you need on the SAT and explained with some examples and some practice problems, etc. And you can jump around if need be. So I just posted that in the comment section. So make sure to check that out if you got any loose ends that you're trying to tie up on the math section.
Did you film that in one take?
No, definitely not. I filmed it it's super long. So I think I filmed it in 5 different sections, 5 different takes, and then merged it all together. But yeah, it took me a while. It took me a while.
Yeah, but Manan is asking for the same for English. I just haven't, I'm just starting to create content, and I hope you guys are liking it. We've got a couple pieces up on the Scalar Learning channel. I'm happy. I haven't seen this video yet, Huzefa, but if you want, maybe one of the things we could develop is the equivalent for the verbal side of things.
That'd be sick. That'd be sick. All right, guys. And Manan says, are we ending yet? Or no, you didn't. Well, we're wrapping up, but you can always watch this video on replay. And Manan, make sure you join the J.E.D.I community if you haven't done so yet. A lot of those lectures are all put in the classroom section. I'm going to update it right after this and make sure we got everything in there for anybody, latecomers that are joining now. So it'll all be really easy to kind of go back and look at the old lectures and the old classes. I can't get my score above 700. Manan is saying, well, yes, you can. Just make, it's just a matter of time and practice and repetition. So if you're close, I'd love to know where you're at. Maybe you can message us or post in the community. But if you're close, 650, 660, somewhere in that zone, you absolutely can get there. You just need to put in the reps, put in the time.
Yeah, I would encourage you to look at why. What kind of questions are you missing? What does J.E.D.I stand for? Judiciously Educational Development Institute. Is that right?
I can't remember. Wait, hold on.
Judicious.
You put it in there before somewhere.
Yeah, Judicious Educational and Development Institute, baby.
There we go. There we go. And by the way, we just gained a couple new members. Now we're at 352. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, Night Warrior just signed up. Thank you, Night Warrior.
Cool. So we'll see you all in the community. We'll probably see you at some live streams in the fall. If you don't, if your SAT journey continues to then, tell your friends. They will thank you for getting them into this community for free. It's a free gift. Gift it.
Absolutely. All right, man. It's a little sad, but I guess that's it. That's it. That's all we got for the class. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you, Professor Dan Lerman, for doing your thing on the English side. This was amazing. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Special shout out to Cole and Matthias. Both of you guys have been super active. We really appreciate all the comments and the contributions, both in the school community as well as on YouTube. It's awesome. And if you guys have liked what we've done, make sure to click that like button. It really, really helps the channel and helps us spread the word. We're just trying to help as many people as we can. So if you could do that, that'd be amazing. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure to click subscribe. Last but not least, I got a big stream coming tomorrow. I might be streaming for like multiple hours straight. I'm just trying to plan everything out tomorrow, but be on the lookout. If you subscribe, you get a notification. We're going to start early tomorrow, very early. I'm thinking around 6:30 a.m. and we're going to go till the wheels fall off. We'll see what happens. So check in for that. And I guess without further ado, thank you guys so much for joining, and we will see you in the next video.
Yeah, post Cheerios comment. Post Cheerios comment to close us out. The piece, okay. The one above that. The one above that.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, love to hear.
Y'all help me score crazily. My score crazily. Awesome. We hope to hear that from the rest of you. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you in the next video. Take it easy.
Ciao.